Hi, this is my latest model, a scratch-built Piper Cub Foamie. It's actually a recycled Piper Cub, since the only things I bought for the build were a new battery and some poster paint. Everything else was made from spare parts and leftover materials I had lying around in my garage. It all started when I was replacing the door frames in my house. The frames came with a lot of small pieces of packaging material, and I got the idea that maybe I could build something out of it. I had always wanted a Piper Cub model, so this seemed like the perfect opportunity to start a Foamie project. I found a plan on outerzone.co.uk, plan ID OZ2467, and printed it at 80% scale on several A4 sheets of paper. I had a lot of spare parts lying around in my garage that I could possibly use. Some outrunners, propellers, and even a few servos. The first step was to glue a few pieces of the packaging material together to create parts of the right size for different sections of the model. I ran some tests to find the best glue for the job and eventually found one that worked really well. This glue requires a bit of moisture to activate. As it expands, it dissolves a small amount of the styrofoam while setting. It's best to apply some pressure while the glue expands and sets. This piece measures 19.5 by 48 centimeters and should be suitable for half a wing. Notice, the glue on the table is not the glue I used. This is the glue I used. To shape the wing, I used a hobby knife and sandpaper. I copied the airfoil from the printed plan onto both ends and used that line as a reference. I also made a plywood template to check the airfoil shape. I cut the stabilizer and elevators as a single piece, intending to separate them later. The idea was to shape all three parts before cutting them apart. I used the same method for the wing and elevators, as well as for the fin and rudder. Finally, I cut out both sides of the fuselage. To build the fuselage, I first made a plywood box where the motor is bolted to the front. Each fuselage side is then glued to this structure. A battery bay, built from plywood, is glued in place behind the engine bay. The firewall is at the front, with space for the ESC at the back. Good airflow is essential to keep the ESC cool. I designed the plywood box in SketchUp. This looks about the right size. Now I wanted to test the hardware. I built a seesaw with a kitchen scale on one side and a tachometer on the other. I placed the battery, ESC, receiver, and an outrunner motor with a propeller on top, distributing the weight so the seesaw was balanced. I turned on the tachometer, zeroed the scale, and started the motor. The motor pulls about 1,300 grams of thrust. This setup can easily power the model, maybe even a bit overpowered. After installing everything in the model, I glued the tail to the fin, bringing both sides together. Now the model was really starting to take shape. I made a one-piece windshield that fits into a groove in the wing, helping to hold it in place. I shaped the fuselage using a hobby knife and sandpaper. The small piece at the trailing edge of the wing helps keep it in place. For easy access, the bottom of the fuselage is not glued, but instead held in place with magnets. For safety reasons, I added a switch between the battery and the ESC to prevent the motor from starting unintentionally. To make the wing stiffer, I cut a groove on the underside and glued in a 2x6mm balsa strip. Now it's time to detach the control surfaces and insert hinges to secure them. I made control horns from toothpicks and glued them in place. For a smoother finish, I used ready-mixed lightweight filler. This filler is very light and easy to sand. I applied it to the fuselage and all other parts of the model. Once it was dry, I sanded it down. The undercarriage is made from an aluminum sheet. To fasten both the undercarriage and the wing to the fuselage, I created mounting points by inserting wooden studs. Before gluing them into the fuselage, I drilled suitable holes in each stud. I also inserted 2 studs through the wing, with holes wide enough for the fastening screws to slide through and screw into the mounting points in the fuselage. To support the wing, I used 430mm bicycle spokes, fastened to the wing using the same method as before. To adjust the center of gravity, I added 50 grams of lead at the front. Bringing the total model weight to 940 grams. To brighten up the appearance, I painted the model bright yellow with the well-known black stripe using poster paint. The paint added 13 grams to the model, bringing the total takeoff weight to 953 grams. The balance point is about 75mm from the leading edge, so hopefully the model is ready for its maiden flight. To keep this video from getting too long, I've skipped many details. Please leave a comment below if you need more information. For access to the plans, check the links in the description. I plan to make a new video of the maiden flight, so if you're interested, please subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon for notifications. Thanks for watching.